What it do, baby? What's going on, y'all? It's your boy, the Network. Back with another lab here today. And I look like I'm disappearing, but I'm not. Playing the disappearing act on y'all. Not trying to be the Black Houdini over here. What I'm doing is actually using some hardware today. So I am not going to be using GNS3. For anybody that wants to follow along, we typically do our labs from this book right here. I don't know if y'all can see this or not. Yes. So 101 Labs, Cisco CCNA version 4. You can get a copy of this book from 101labs.net. Learn by doing. It's authored by Paul Browning and Farai Tafa. The reason why I like this book is because experts agree that we retain only 10% of what we read, but 90% of what we do. Perhaps this explains why the global pass rate for most IT exams is a ghastly 40%. This is where the 101 Lab book series can help. And I agree with that because a lot of times I find myself reading through, technical manuals and technical books and stuff like that. And then ask me tomorrow what that topic is and I'll forget, You're most likely to have these topics stick if you are hands-on with it. Just like driving a car, right? They give you all these written tests and stuff like that, but you really don't know how to drive a car until you're behind the wheel. And that's that's the reason why I like doing this stuff hands-on. So we got S Smooth in the building representing BK in the house. We got Amy? What's up? What's going on? I remember you hit me up. It might have been earlier today, right? You said you gonna finally tune in. Well, that's what's up. We're gonna wait for a couple people to get logged in here. Not everybody, tunes in right at 8 o'clock. So sometimes I'll be showing up late and I see people hit me up in the chat already like, where the hell is this guy at? We got Gonzalo in the building who tunes in religiously from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I need to take I'm due for a South America trip myself, man. But anyways, let me get this lab ready. So if you guys want to power on a switch using a packet tracer may or may not support this feature. I don't know. I didn't even check, but I remember I just peeked through this lab earlier today, and I forgot about this feature here. So I'm gonna be learning this stuff on the fly with y'all, right? Somebody either gonna have to have some good Googling skills to show me how to do this, or maybe hopefully I can recollect the how to even do this. It's just basically what we're gonna do is put a whole bunch of ports in one specific VLAN, but we're not going to do it using the interface range command, right? You know how you can put ports 1 through 15 in VLAN, I don't know, like VLAN 20, right? You can do that all at the same time using the interface range command, right? Well, there's another way to do that using VLAN macros, and that's what we're going to do here. So if you have the book, you have a copy of this book, it's going to be Lab 26, which is, in this version, it's page 113. Now, remember, if you have the older version of this book, what is this? If you have the older version of this book, some of these labs are still in there. So, yeah. So let me see. There was one more point that I wanted to grab from here. Still got a couple more viewers logging on here. Before we get started, again, for those of you guys that are just tuning in, if you have Packet Tracer, if you have GNS3, if you have even G, or whatever floats your boat, whatever simulator floats your boat, like I said, Packet Tracer may or may not support this feature. I don't know. I didn't even check. But that's the reason why I wanted to power on my actual switch here, which actually, let me see if I can console into it. I have a 24-port 3750 switch that we're going to use for this lab. And this should be a really quick lab. This says 4 tasks here, but let's see if I could find what port that is first before I can do all of that. Yeah, this should be a really quick lab. We should knock this out. I want to get out of here by 8:20. I don't know about y'all, but I'm still decorating my daughter's room over there. Just doing some last minute touches there. Yes, disconnect. What I wanted to do, connect and tab, do a new one. COM14. We want to do a serial 14 I'm pretty sure you guys know how to do this, right? But if you're using Packet Tracer, all this stuff is default, and you can create a session by your own. Oh, there's already a 14 in here, so all I need is that guy right there, and I should be able to get into my switch. What is going on here? Got my alarm going here to remind me. Okay, so we're logged into my switch here. Switch 1. Again, this should be a really easy lab. Let's get this done. Are we all tuned in here? Everybody ready to go? Again, we got Gonzalo. Shout out to Gonzalo. We got Ed Smooth in the building. We got Who Amy. I know we got some more people in here. It's about 20 of y'all in here tuned in. Nobody. We got some quiet people in here. It's all good though. But if y'all want to get started, we can get started. First task here. Well, we got a little lab purposes. Configuring multiple interfaces on a switch at the same time is a fundamental skill. Some high-end switches have in excess of 500 interfaces. So you know how sometimes you got these core switches that's got like 7 or 8, maybe 10 line cards, right? And each of them got 48 ports. Let's say you got, I don't know, about 256 ports that you got to put in a specific VLAN. You know, yes, you can use the interface range command and put all those at the same time. But there's another feature, and this is called like it says, user-defined macro. So let's see here. That may need to be configured almost identically. In such situations, configure a single interface at a time will not be acceptable. So yeah, unless you get paid by the hour and you're like, you know, I'm gonna do these interfaces one at a time, 256 of them, right? As a Cisco engineer, as well as a Cisco CCNA exam, you will be expected to know how to configure multiple switch interfaces at the same time using user-defined macros. So that's what it is, user-defined macros. And you know what a macro is. Macro is basically like you're doing one thing to handle a bunch of things, if that makes any sense. So instead of doing task 1, 2, 3, and 4 all individually, you're pressing. It's like a keystroke. Sometimes you have keyboard macros, right? You can press one button to press like Control Alt Delete. That's what a macro is. So it's like mapping one thing to do maybe 7 or 8 actions, if that makes any sense. What's going on, Malacal Fitness? That's another loyal subscriber there. I appreciate that for tuning in, Malachi. We just getting started. We didn't really do anything yet. We're just putting a whole bunch of ports in one VLAN. So this should be a really easy lab. We should try to get out of here real quick. Task 1: configure a host name of your liking on your lab switch, which should have at least 24 ports. Which I believe this switch has 24 ports, right? So we could just do a show version and we'll see. This lets us know 24 port switch, but also it tells us by the right there. It says 26 ports because it's got 24 ports, but there's 2 gigabit Ethernet ports on the side. So we could also just do show interface status. That's another way to kind of let you know. And by the way, I remember who it was that asked who still uses fast Ethernet interfaces. Well, guess what? The NetworkBruh does. He got this old ass switch that he got from eBay that still uses fast Ethernet ports. But you know what? I got 2 gigabit Ethernet ports right here, so get the hell on. So configure a host name of your liking of your lab switch. I think we already got it listed as switch 1, so we'll leave that as is. Configure VLAN 10 name sales on the switch and VLAN 20 name tech on the switch. So we've done this for like the past 4 or 5 videos, creating VLANs, right? This should be real easy. Y'all see I almost made a mistake. I need to do a no IP domain lookup on this, right? And then I'll save that. That way I don't have to do that. And again, we only need 1 switch for this lab, so this should be real easy, y'all. We don't have to connect another switch or anything like that. We said VLAN 10 name sales 10, and then the name of it is sales. Sorry for pushing that button on y'all so many times. VLAN 20 is named tech. Really easy lab, guys. You getting caught up, Malacal? I know you just walked in late. I'm gonna teach you like that one student that walk in late trying to sneak in. Mr. Malacal Fitness, please come up here and show me how to do VLANs with macros. User-defined macros, please. Okay. So we wanted to create a VLAN macro called VLAN 10 macro. Okay, so let me bring this bad boy back over. Check. Now I'm not gonna. Now the good thing about this book here too is, in case none of y'all remember how to do it, because I don't remember how to do it, there is a solution guide on here, right? So right after the lab that you are going through, If you don't know how to do it, or if you get stuck or whatever like that, there is it shows you exactly how to do it. So I'm trying my best not to peek and do it, because I was talking to my girlfriend. She was like, man, just go ahead and do it. Make pretend you know. No, I'm not going to make pretend I know and make pretend I know everything. So we're going to try to figure this along with all 20 of you guys in here. So we go to global config mode, I'm pretty sure. And we said we're going to put VLAN 10, right? VLAN 10 configure. So the first 12 needs to be VLAN 10 macro, right? And it says here, check out this note right here. Because this lab is for practicing macro configuration, do not use the interface range command. So that's a little caveat right there. If you could do this same thing using the interface range command, but they want you to know about this other feature, which is the user-defined macros. And again, I don't remember how to do that. Let's see. VLAN 10 is going to be in sales. So let's do this. Let's say VLAN 10. I would expect it would be in that. And that's not where it is. So is it a macro? Maybe it's that. Global. Apply? No, I doubt it's that. Anybody remember how to do a macro? We got Brian in the building. Shout out to Brian all the way from Mumbai, India. Anybody remember how to do a macro? I know Kelvin usually knows a lot about these obscure features. Typically, I would have just done the interface range command, right? Let's see. I would think we definitely want to put ports 1 through 12 in those VLANs, in that VLAN, right? Y'all see that, right? 1 through 12 needs to be in VLAN 10 using a macro, but not the interface range command. VLAN 10. I would have said, this is what I would have done. I would have just said VLAN 10, and then I would have expect that feature to be there. Let's do that. So now I'm in VLAN configuration mode. We can set the name, parent, private VLANs, remote span VLANs, shut down. Oh, you can shut down a VLAN. That's interesting. STE, ring. Don't make me give up, y'all. Today I've been living device hardening. That's what's up, Gonzalo. Definitely need to learn some device hardening. Port securities. There's a whole bunch of features you can do to harden your network. A macro is setting like a lot of tasks in one command. Exactly. So rid of me this, Gonzalo. Rid of me this, Batman. How do you? Yes, exactly, like a script. But we can do a macro by for example, instead of doing interface range FA01 through FA012, right? Then we're going to be in interface range mode, and then we can do whatever we want with all of those ports. We can put those all in VLAN 10, right? But this note says here to not use that command. To do that, we want to put ports 1 through 12 in VLAN 10. Does anybody, and this is not no pop quiz, I really don't know how to do this. So I remember about this feature, but I don't remember how to do it, because typically I would just use the interface range command. So does anybody remember how to do it? Maybe I should do a giveaway if you remember this. But I know whoever does it is probably going to Google it anyway, right? I mean, I could easily Google it, or I could just check this book for the solution. Or do what I'm doing here is process of elimination. So we can bridge characteristics of a VLAN, apply changes, and bump the revision number. Oh, so see, that's the other thing too. Once you exit, that's when you apply the changes. So that's one thing I've been trying to teach you guys too in the last couple of videos. The ASCII name, we could set the MTU for the VLAN. That's interesting. Didn't know you could do that. I know about private VLANs. I kind of knew about parents. I don't know what SED is. Operational state of it. ARE. It says do not use interface range. Is this a CCNA topic? Well, according to the book, it says here, as a Cisco engineer, as well as in the CCNA exam, you'll be expected to know how to configure multiple switch interfaces at the same time using user-defined macros. Now, that's what this book says. I'm willing to bet they are not going to ask you how to set macros on the exam. But it's a good feature to know. That's why I called it obscure, because there's a million features on a switch or router that is available. Will they ask you on the exam? No, because if they did that, there's like a million features. Like, who's gonna remember all of that? There's only so many things they can ask you about. But yes, on the if you look on the exam topics, right? Do I have the exam topics up? I may or may not. I don't. But let me bring it up here, and I bring this up to you guys up often too. Exam labs, exam topics, right? Peep this. Y'all peep this. Right, so they might not ask you everything, right? But it says here, the following topics are general guidelines for the content likely to be included on the exam. Nowhere in here does it say user-defined macros. And I'll show y'all. You just Control F, type in macros. There's nothing in here that says macros, right? However, other related topics may also appear on any specific delivery of the exam. To better reflect the contents of the exam, for clarity purposes, the guidelines below may change at any time without notice. So any of this shit free game. If they really wanted to ask you a question on user-defined macros, they'll do that. But I highly doubt they would. I searched it on Google, but I'm not going to spoil it. Come on, Brian. Go ahead and tell us, man, because I don't want to spoil it either. And I've sat here and tried to go through the menu. You know, I'm not going to pretend I know. I know I'm the network, bruh, but I don't know everything. So I would think, let's see. Brian seems to be the only one that wanted to look it up. We're gonna rely on Brian to kind of tell us how to do user-defined macros instead of using the interface range command. I would have said, let's see, VLAN 10, and then I would have thought that the feature came right after it. Don't you got to get out of VLAN configuration mode. I would have said VLAN underscore 10, and then that. No, see, you don't remember that, right? Or the number. Let's see this VLAN filter. You can create a VLAN group. I would think maybe that's it. Nope. VLAN configure, set VLAN feature configuration mode. I'll try that. VLAN configuration. Nah, that ain't it. Come on, Brian. Go ahead and tell us. I could look in the book now. VLAN configuration 10. I'll try that. And then I'm in VLAN config mode right here. Config VLAN config mode. Exit, negate a command, exit, IP root, no, nah, it ain't it. See, I didn't even know you can go to a config, VLAN config mode. Define interface range. Danny, yes, that is correct. That is one way you can do it. However, you maybe you walked in late, but it says here, this is the curveball. Because this lab is for practicing macro configuration, do not, let me go ahead and put this in bold so you can see. And red, do not use the interface range command. So yes, you're right, Danny, but you're also not right. We are trying to do it using, we're trying to put several ports in a VLAN without using interface range. Cue the Jeopardy theme song here. Anybody else want to Google it and find out? Or does anybody else know how to do it besides Brian? Let's see here. Configure ACL logging, create a VLAN access map, filter. I would have thought group. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and look up the solution, man. Because I really don't know how to do it. I'm at a loss for words here, man. Configuration. See, VLAN feature configuration. I would have thought it was there too, though. Word. You can put the VLAN ID. VLAN ID. No, because I remember. Yeah, you can do a show VLAN ID, whatever. VLAN filter. Map name. Maybe that's it. That's probably it. VLAN 10. VLAN list. No, that ain't it. That's funny. I have the same tasks here and this as a solution. We have to like make a script or something. With macro names and stuff. Yes, exactly. There is a macro name that you have to create, and that's what the book says here. So let me go ahead and that was from last night's lab. So the book says, now this is just, I copied and pasted this from the book. So where is it? It's a Word file right here. Right here. So you should create a macro called VLAN underscore 10 underscore macro for configuring ports 1 through 12. That would be in that VLAN. That would be in VLAN 10. So how about this? What if I just do macro and then that? Is that one way to do it? If you go macro, because I see there's a macro keyword. Auto device. No, see, this is not. This don't look like it right here either. Macro name and then the name. So macro and then the name like that. No, that ain't it either. Macro. There is a, like I said, there is a macro. Auto. We did that already. Macro global. Apply a global macro. Description. Trace. Let's try apply. The name of the word to apply. That sounds like it makes sense here. No. The keyword to replace with a value. Nah, that ain't it. Show parser macro shows configured macros. Good to know. I didn't know that, Brian. Appreciate that. Well, Brian's just leaving us little breadcrumbs over there. Macro name, macro, and then the name, and then VLAN whatever. You're saying that's how we do it, Gonzalo? So macro. Let's see. You got to go to global config mode, right? I'm assuming macro, and then name. It ain't name, because there is no name keyword, at least not on the 3750 switch. Come on, y'all. Somebody in here know it. Don't make me look in the solution guide, man. Macro. So, Gonzalo, you're saying macro, and then name, and then VLAN whatever. Do you got to go and use a privileged exec mode to do that? Macro. Oh, that looks like it might be it. Macro. No. Auto smart ports. Apply. Config. Ooh. That looks like it could be it. Macro and then auto config. That. No. No, that ain't it. But that's good to know. That's another feature you could do here. How are you going to execute a macro without a script? Don't know, man. You asking me? I thought you had the answers, bro. You ain't got the answers, Brian. You ain't got the answers, Brian. That's a reference. Does anybody remember what that reference was? How are you going to execute it? Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to Google it. So let's go ahead and go to our trusty guide here. And Brian was just leaving us breadcrumbs, and he don't really want to tell us. Do you have to actually write a script and do it? I mean, let's see here. You should create a macro. So let's see here. We configured the VLANs already, right? VLAN and then sales. Okay, so this is how you do it. And I would have never guessed this. You ready, Brian? Unless you was looking at something else. I don't know. But it says here, this is similar to the interface range command. What kind of, like, this is... Okay, y'all ready for this? Okay, so you got a global config mode, right? So let's go back to the original task here. You ready? It says here, to simplify configuration tasks, you should create a macro called VLAN 10 macro, right? For configuring ports 1 through 12 that will be in VLAN 10. So basically, they want us to put VLANs 1 through 12 in VLAN 10 without using the interface range command, which in a way, just wait till y'all see this. You're gonna be like, well, isn't that the interface range? But I guess not. Maybe it is. So the word I would have had to look for was define, which I guess it is in here. So, and there it is. So you type in the word define and then interface range, which it says here, right? They don't want us to use the interface range command. They wanted us to create a macro. So I don't know how that's not using interface range command without using interface range command. So, but that's what they have in the solution guide here. So you define and then interface range like this. Then it says here, they wanted us to create what? VLAN 10 macro like that, right? So VLAN underscore 10 underscore macro. And again, I highly doubt this is a feature that's available in Packet Tracer. Packet Tracer is limited with their commands. I doubt you'll be able to even do this. That's why I even powered on my switch to do this. I'm hearing this for the first time. We are on the same boat. Hey, Brian, this is why I like labbing with you guys, so we learn together. So, and like I said, I could have sat here and looked it up, figured out how to do it, and then teach y'all and make pretend I knew this the whole time. But I'm like, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. I did not know this feature. I heard about it, but I don't remember this feature, like how to use it. And like you could easily just interface range and do the same thing, but apparently you could do that without it. So you do define interface range, create the macro, and then you define your ports. So in this case, if I question mark, you'll see it's fast Ethernet, right? And we said ports 1 through 12. So we're going to 0, 1 through 12. Is that what it was? I forgot something here. Oh, because these are ports 101 through 12. So 1-01 through 12, like that. So once we do that, let's see here. We got to create another macro for the other VLANs for 13 ports 13 through 24. So sorry I'm late. It's all good, phase 114. We sat here and I got stumped by this. This is probably the first lab. We've been about, let me see. I want to say we've done about 13 live, maybe 12 live streams. What is this? This is episode 14. So we did about 14 live streams, and this is the first one that I really got stumped because I did not know about this feature. Is that on the 101 lab books? Yes, it is, phase 114. Shout out to Danny. Appreciate that. Don't use interface range command, but use the interface range commands. Exactly, Brian. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Exactly. Maybe they are saying not to even go into interface mode, but okay in a different mode. Yes, but they didn't say that. They just said try to do this without using the interface range command, and then proceed to tell us use the interface range command, but not necessarily in that mode, I guess. The one we're used to. Look up. That's what I tell you. Yeah, man. That was weird. So we got to do the same thing, but for ports 13 through 24 in VLAN 20, right? So I'm gonna just click the up arrow, change this to VLAN 20, and then we said ports 13 through 24. So basically, phase 114, we're assigning multiple instances to a VLAN simultaneously. It's lab 26 if you have the book. So ports 13 through 24, right? And again, your interfaces might be different if you have a different switch. So we done that. And then the next thing we got to do is, it says here, what was it? So we got to do the same thing. A macro called VLAN 20 for configure ports 13 through 24. That will be in VLAN 20. And then they said, do not use interface range command task 4. Configure interfaces 1 through 12 and 13 through 24 in VLANs 10 through 20 respectively using the macro. These ports should be configured as access ports. So do you have to go to interface range command to do this? That's the question. That's my question. Let me see, because I don't know either, because I don't really know how to use the macro. So let's see. Task 4 says you got to go to this book is killing me, man. So you got to do interface range. Oh, okay. I see what they did here. I don't see how this is very useful. I guess it could be. But y'all check this out. So y'all see how we created this macro, right? Basically, so we go back to global config mode, which we are in already, right? Then you got to go to interface range, which it's killing me. So you got to type in interface range, and they said not to do it, right? And then the next thing you got to do is right here. It says macro. There's the macro keyword that I was looking for. But this is the second step. You got to create the macro first before you can even use it, right? So that's what's weird, right? So we have to do this when doing it for the first time. After this, we just have to execute the macros. That is correct, Brian. So first you got to create the macros. And when you create macros, you're going to say, whatever I do here, apply this to these ports. That's what you're saying. So it's similar to interface range, but it's just kind of different. So, and look, we're doing interface range here, right? So you go to interface range, and then it says here, yeah, you do the macro keyword, and then you type in VLAN 10 macro. So, or the name of the macro in this case. So let me show y'all real quick. So interface range, and then macro, then it's here, it says here, what's the name of the macro? So that's, it says word, but you actually type in the macro. So in this case, it was VLAN, it was all caps, right? VLAN. And see, that's the other thing too. You got to remember the name of the macro. That's why I don't think this is that useful, and why not very many people know about this feature. So macro like this, right? Once you're done here, press enter, and now it's like you're in an interface range command in sort of a way, if that makes any sense, right? So once you're here, whatever you apply here is gonna let's see here. See, you still got to put the ports in that VLAN. So that's what's retarded about this feature. Whatever. So once you're here, you type in switch port mode access, right? Because they said they wanted us to create access ports, right? Isn't that what it said right over? Yes, right here. These ports should be configured as access ports, right? Again, for those of you that walked in late, this book, this lab came from the book 101 Labs, Cisco CCNA version 4. You can get a copy of this from 101labs.net, learn by doing, authored by Paul Browning and Farai Tafa. You can, again, get a copy of this book from 101labs.net, or there's a link in the description down below, the description box. You click that link, and that'll take you into an Amazon. They'll take you to Amazon, so you can get this book, get a copy of this book. It's just faster to get on Amazon if you really want to do it that way, or you can go on their website and get it too. I don't know how fast they ship or how much more it'll cost, whatever. So you do switch port mode access. That's gonna put all those ports as access, configure them as access ports, right? Now, before I even get back into that mode, let's see what what ports we have in those VLANs, right? So show VLAN brief, and I've got nothing in the VLAN 10, nothing in VLAN 10, and nothing in VLAN 20, right? Y'all see that, right? So far, so go back to global config mode, and then we're gonna go to interface range macro, and then the name of the macro. Now we're in config interface range mode. We set those ports as access ports, and now we can do switch port access VLAN, and then put them in VLAN 10. Do a show VLAN brief so we can see. And there, we basically put all those ports in VLAN 10, right? So I don't see how much more useful this is for you guys. To me, I think it's much quicker to just do interface range, right? Because you're having to create this macro, right? And then once you get out, you got to go back in interface range anyway, and then type it in the macro. So it's pretty much an added step. I guess it'll be useful if you have 256 or 512 ports that you need to configure. But then again, you can still use that interface range mode. So let's do the same thing with VLAN 20, right? Y'all see nothing is in VLAN 20, right? Right here, we put ports 1 through 12 in VLAN 10, which was the sales VLAN, right? So we're going to do the same thing, but VLAN 20. So let's get out of this, and we're going to go to interface range macro mode, but it's VLAN 20, right? I guess I see where this is useful, because let's say you need to do, let's say you had 512 ports, right? And you've only got ports 500 through 512, and those need to be in VLAN 500, and then you need to go to another range of ports, and those need to be in another VLAN. But either way, you could go back in and out of the VLAN configuration, interface range mode. So it's just another feature that you're most likely not going to get tested in the CCNA exam, but it's in this book, and y'all know how much I love this book. So we can do switch port mode access here, and then switch port access VLAN 20, and then now we can just do a show VLAN brief. which, by the way, was task 4, right? Because they wanted us to verify a configuration using the appropriate commands, which show VLAN brief will let us know that we put those ports in there. Unless there's another macro show command that I don't know about. But yeah, basically we put ports 13 through 24 in VLAN 20. So I'm going to check the solution guide and see if there's any other show commands that they want us to do. And no, just show VLAN brief is the only way we can check. Now, let's see if there's a way to check how many macros we have, though. Got this book a week ago, but never did this lab. Hey, it's all good, man. Like I said, I knew somewhat, I somewhat knew about this feature, but obviously it was not that great for me to even remember, so, and not that significant. So we put those ports in their respective VLANs, and we verified it with the show VLAN brief. Is there a show macro command? Show macros? Show macro auto? No. Show define? Show definition? I don't know. Because we had to type in define first to even get in that mode, and I didn't even know about that one. So global config, and the way we get, again, as a recap, we just type in define like this, then interface range, which puts you in another interface range command, range mode, and from here you can define the name of your macro. So let's just say, I don't know, XYZ macro, and call it the XYZ macro. And we pick which ports we want to define those macros in. So I guess that's how one way we can do it. Let's say we wanted to put, I don't know, ports 200 through 212 and create that as a macro for it. So it's just another interface range mode, but you're just naming the ranges, if that makes any sense. So I guess, yeah, I guess we could say, like, let's say we had classrooms or specific departments in specific ports. That's one way we could do it. So let's say we called it we worked at a school and we said the library macro, right? So we know ports 15 through 25 are in the library. So we create a macro for the library. I guess that's one way we could say that's useful, right? Has anybody else in this chat room used this feature? Again, like I said, I did not know about this command, and we had my man Brian who had to Google it and still didn't know about it. Danielle in the building representing Warrenton, representing Sheffield, Alabama. Warrenton, Virginia, right? Danielle, that's Miss NetworkBruh for you guys that don't know. Has anybody used this feature? Don't act like I'm the only one that don't know about it. Anyway, that pretty much wraps it up. That's got to be the shortest lab because I sat here and tried to figure it out. Sometimes I use the feature. Yeah, right, Danielle. Again, you can get a copy of this book from 101labs.net, or you can go to Amazon and look for it, or there's going to be a link in the description box below, and you can get a copy of this book. Again, they say experts agree that we retain 10% of what we read, but only 10% of what we read, but 90% of what we do. So this is why we're hands-on. And I bet you after this video, y'all gonna remember about this VLAN macro command. Y'all gonna learn today. So anyways, if you like this video, hit that like button, man. Make sure I didn't ask y'all to hit that like button, man. Please hit me with that like button. We try to do this Monday through Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know what time it is in your time zone, but you know, you could just Google that to see what it is. But 8 p.m. Eastern time zone when we try to lab these up. Again, I'm in talks with Boston right now to try to get a promotional copy, and we'll try to do, like, you know, Boston Tuesdays or something, and then maybe, I don't know, INE Wednesdays, or, you know, 100 lab book Mondays or something like that. So that way we try to mix it up. I don't want to make it so that way we're only using this to get our labbing in. So again, if you like this video, leave a comment below, hit that like button, share this video, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so that way you get reminded of when we're going live. So in other words, comment, like, subscribe to the network,